And good evening and welcome to the Marysville Hotel Town Hall. We're about to begin and we'll be back in just a moment here. Our town hall tonight is brought to you by and presented by Comfort Keepers of Yuba-Sutter and Calusa. And
Hi, I'm Neil Goforth of Comfort Keepers of Yuba-Sutter and Nevada counties. Caring for elders or even yourself has challenges. Comfort Keepers of Yuba-Sutter and Nevada counties can help you address today's issues and plan for tomorrow with in-home and specialized care for you or your family members. Call us at 530-749-8800. Comfort Keepers of Yuba-Sutter and Nevada counties.
And good evening and welcome to Marysville City Hall at 6th and C Streets in Marysville, where, as you can see, there's a fairly decent crowd that has come to talk about what to do with the Marysville Hotel site. That is the site that at 5th and E Streets in Marysville, where the fire happened in June of last year. And eventually the building was brought down and demolished and is now basically a pile called Mount Marysville by a number of people. This particular town hall has a number of things that will be on the agenda, and we'll take a look at that right now. So Jim Schad is going to do an introduction in just a few minutes, and then they're going to have an update on the EPA grant application, which is intended to remove the debris, and they'll talk about how to remove the debris. And then they'll talk about some next steps for what to do with the old Hotel Marysville property. New Public Works Director will be talking about that, along with Dan Flores, the Community and Economic Development Director. They'll identify potential developers and revitalization opportunities, talk about that, and then have a community input session with open Q&A. And if you'd like to get some questions in, we'll pop this up from time to time. You can provide your opinion virtually by simply scanning this QR code with your phone. When you do that, it will take you to a website and you can begin putting your input in. They are not taking questions online tonight, and if you put something in the chat, we'll hope that someone sees that and will eventually get to your question, but they won't be answering things live tonight online. But if you are down here at Marysville City Hall, you'll be able to watch. And unfortunately, this is the best sound that we can deliver for you.
Turn it over to the clerk. Actually, turn it over to me to stop. I'm part of the mayor formalities. I'm the mayor, and I'm calling this regular meeting, actually special meeting of the Marysville City Council to order. Madam Clerk, roll call, please.
Councilmember Rollins. Here. Councilmember Gilchrist. Councilmember Hudson.
Here.
Vice Mayor Buckley.
Here.
Mayor Branscombe.
Yes, ma'am. And Councilman Gilchrist is just moments away over here. So, if everybody would please stand and join the pledge. Salute. Pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. See so many people here in the gallery, and the press is always welcome. The item up on the agenda today is straightforward. It's a town hall discussion item. It is a facilitated forum to receive community input. We need to do this. Federal requirement on the EPA grant. It's something we need to do anyway. to receive community input on the future of the hotel Marysville site. Consistent with open meeting laws, no formal action will be taken on this item at this meeting. Council may provide brief responses or refer matters to staff, or they may express their opinion here and there. But I believe my fellow council members and I are here mostly to listen. Mr. City Manager, will you please take it away?
I am sorry that we are not able to get you any better sound tonight. This is basically a microphone picking up the house.
Less formal discussion. I'm Jim Shaft, the city manager for the city of Marysville, and most of you know why we're here. I wanted to give a little bit more detail as to why we're here. Most all of you are familiar with the Marysville hotel site. There is no hotel standing anymore. There was a necessity to remove the building after the fire, and yet we still have a large pile of rubble there that we need to deal with. We are looking to apply for an EPA grant, a U.S. EPA grant. It's called the Brownfield Grant. And the goal of those grants is really not just to remove the material that may contaminate the site, but also look towards to development. The reason they want us to remove the material is so that some type of productive development can happen. So one of their requirements is that we have public input from the community, which is why we're having this meeting. It's not the only reason why we're having the meeting. We've had several town halls in the past, topics such as traffic and other topics. This one's very focused on the Marysville Hotel. So then the question is, how did we get here? Well, since I've been here, we have been working on what to do with the hotel. We were very hopeful that the hotel could have been rehabilitated, but then we had a devastating fire, and that fire weakened the structure of the building and was blocking a major state route and needed to be demolished. So we made the decision as a city to negotiate with the owners and then quickly demolish the building and encased it in concrete. So that's the Mount Marysville you see in front of us every time you go by. The next step really is to clean up the site. And the EPA grant is about cleaning up the site. The city owns the site as part of the settlement agreement with the former owners. And so we have the opportunity to apply for these types of grants where a private organization may not. So as I mentioned, we want your input on what to do with the site. The program here tonight is I'm going to give the introduction I just gave. Our Public Works Director is going to give some information on what the projected path for the cleanup is and how this EPA grant ties into that. And then our Community Development Director is going to speak to what potential uses the site might have and kind of the process we would go through to develop this, to have somebody develop the site. We are not developers, so we will not develop the site, and we need to keep that in mind. The site can only be developed if somebody wants to develop the site. So, but we do want to make sure we get input from the community as to what they want. And then once my two directors give some information on the next steps as far as just process, then I'm going to turn it over to council. I'm I imagine they'll have some brief comments on their perspective of what we're looking at. And then the need of it is to ask you guys to give input. And I believe we've asked for comment cards. So anybody that wants to come up and speak who hasn't filled one out, please do. If you want some input, but are perhaps a little camera shy, you can still turn in a comment and we will read those for you as we move forward through the meeting. And then we are taking all this information. We will not only keep it for ourselves and digest that and see if we can come up with a plan for the site after it's cleaned up. But we will also be sending that information to the EPA in hopes that they can grant us the grant to clean up the property. So with that, I'm going to turn it over to our Public Works Director, Jeremy Chaplin. Go ahead.
All right, welcome and thank you for joining us this evening. As Jim went over, he covered most of the background, but I just wanted to touch on some of that. So prior to the hotel demolition, the city applied for this same cleanup grant last year. Unfortunately, we were not selected for the award. However, as most of you have seen or are aware, the city was able to proceed and complete the initial demolition and encapsulation of the remaining debris through a nuisance abatement settlement last November. So with that, we are now approaching the new funding round for this brownfields EPA grant. And so staff is working on updating the application to reflect the recent work that was completed that hadn't been done in the previous round. And we're also working to provide additional info to make our application as competitive as possible, including additional studies, soil samples, and work in the field to strengthen our application. The revised scope of work includes the removal and abatement of demolition debris and remediation of any soil contamination. This permanent cleanup is urgently needed to eliminate any of the environmental hazards left, prevent further mitigation of contaminants, and ready the site for the reuse that we'll be discussing this evening. This will still be a multi-month process, and the EPA hasn't issued a grant timeline yet. We know the NOFA, or Notice of Available Funding Opportunity, is going to be issued. With that, they will issue this calendar timeline, but they haven't done so yet. But we do know it will be multi-month. It will likely be into sometime next year, earlier mid-year. We will likely have some info on if we're going to be awarded or not. But regardless of the outcome, with the current application, the city's dedicated to pursuing any funding opportunities and any other options possible to remediate the site and prepare it for development. I think that covers most of the details on the grant. I'll turn it over to Dan Flores, our Community and Economic Development Director, to add any info I may have missed regarding next steps and discuss development and revitalization opportunities.
Okay, great. Thank you, Jeremy. So yeah, I get kind of a more fun part, right? So we're talking about the EPA grant and what happens next on that. I see a lot of familiar faces here, by the way. Welcome to all of you. Glad to be here tonight. But I get to talk about what do we do? What are the next steps in the redevelopment for this project? So if you go to the next slide, that'd be great. So there's 7 steps that we're going to follow from here. So remember, this is after cleanup. So Jeremy just went through the process of getting everything cleaned up. Once all the stuff is removed from that Mount Marysville that we call it now, and then we have a clean site, then we're going to go through 7 steps. That's not the next slide. That's not the next steps. Yeah, but that's okay. Let's go to the steps. There we go. One more. There. Okay, so the first step that we have is that we conduct what's called a property valuation. So we look over the property. We we have a broker, and we've utilized this step when we went through the B Street Development Marketing Program. We use a broker who has a lot of experience, and we intend to engage that broker again. His name is Ed Nelson, and we hope that he can help us with the valuation process. And we're going to get a full appraisal, and that broker will also help us get that valuation. So the 7 steps altogether. So the second step is going to gathering more community feedback. This is a start, but we want to continue. We're not going to just doing this tonight because we have to check a box. You know, even though we need to provide information to the EPA that we shared with you that we're moving forward with the EPA grant, and we're with the application. We want to engage this community as heavily as we can and gather your ideas and understand what you really want. You know why? Because it's something that the mayor has mentioned in the past, and so has other city council members. But this is the gateway to Marysville. So we don't want just something that, you know, I'm not going to say what we don't want, but we don't want something that you don't want to be there.
We don't want a Burger King.
Okay, he doesn't want Burger King. So he said, but you know, it's certain things that we don't want to be in your gateway, right? We want to be this to be something that Marysville can be proud of, because we were in days past. This hotel was built by this community, and we need to put something back in its place that will show off our community once again. And you know, all of you know that there's a lot of great momentum happening in Marysville right now, and a lot of you are part of that, and we just want to continue with that process with this. So we're going to have the community feedback, we're going to gather lots of input, we probably will do another town hall or two, we're going to do surveys, we'll find out more about what the community needs are. Then 3, we do what's called developer outreach, and this is where we issue what's called a request for proposal. For those of you who haven't been through any of that, basically we send out a request looking for experienced developers who can provide, who can actually finish a project, who can take it from start to finish, right? Right now, we lucked out again, or we went through the process, not really luck, it was a lot of hard work, but we went through the process and were able to get a good developer to build the Hyatt Hotel, the grocery outlet, and the Starbucks that's going out on B Street. Well, now we need to find someone for this project. And this would be somebody who would have the financials to do it, somebody who would have the wherewithal to do it, and someone who is willing to do the project that we, City Council, representing you, would pick. So once they submit those proposals, they pick that particular project, that's our developer outreach. So that RFP process, it could take quite a while, but let's say 90 days altogether for that process once we get that out there. We'll be marketing the property in the meantime to as many developers as we can get the word out to. Recently, we've had a lot of visitors who have shown interest in the hotel, and I'll show you some of the ideas that they've mentioned, just a couple, just to kind of get your own thoughts flowing. But there's a lot of exciting opportunity on the ways that it could be developed. So we need to be thinking about what those things could actually be. So we'll be doing that marketing. Next is a proposal review. So once we receive the request for proposal back from those developers, we go through a review process and we evaluate their qualifications, and then we select whoever that preferred developer would be. Okay, so that's the 4th step. And then we move on to the next slide. And the 5th step is what we call a development agreement. So this is a process that we all get involved in, but really heavily involved is our own council here, and Brant will help us write up the development agreement, make sure we're not missing anything. There's a lot of detail in the development agreement. The developer agrees to do certain specific things, and then the city agrees to allow them to do those things, and then we come to an agreement, and then they go to the next phase, and that's where they begin pulling permits and going to the construction phase. And that's where the construction would begin. And this is an exciting moment, right? This is when we lay down the first cornerstone and we see what we call the project going vertical. And this is something we're very excited. This is where if we begin with the end in mind, it's really important for us to think about what that project looks like in the future. And then 7, I just reminder that it's a ribbon cutting, right? So for all of you, when we're sitting there and we're celebrating the opening of whatever this is going to be, not a Burger King, but whatever it's going to be, that we're going to celebrate that moment all together, and we look forward to that moment. Okay, next slide. So far, we've had developers from out of the community and in the community. Some developers are in this room right now, but we've had developers from out of the community as well. And they've done some big projects, some in Sacramento. I'm not going to mention any specific names, I don't want to do that yet. But they've talked about potentially it becoming a boutique hotel. They've talked about it being a mixed-use retail housing project. That could mean, 4 or 5 stories of apartments with retail on the bottom. And then exciting to me and some others I've spoken to, potentially putting a rooftop bar or restaurant on top of whatever this new building would look like. And to me, I would just love to see that, right? So then you have a parking lot or structure. Some people just said, hey, we just need a parking lot or some kind of structure. Maybe a 2-story parking lot because we have all these events that happen in Marysville. If we could just have this parking lot, it would be nice there on that corner. And, it's been mentioned to me, maybe we could make it a parking lot for a period of time while we're waiting to do whatever we're going to do in the future. So, say 25 years or something, and then look to the future about what we can do. But that's another, more ideas. Others that mentioned public plaza or green space. People have mentioned, let's make it a beautiful park. Let's make it a public plaza, a place where people can gather and enjoy that part of the area. Kind of interesting to me because there's a lot of traffic there, but there's probably ways to hold back on the sound and do things that would work. Others have mentioned a community event space. That could be like a museum or, something like an additional library or, visitors center type place. So that has come up as well. And then art and cultural center has been brought up. Along with that, a public usage sort of from like education usage has also been brought up. And then a restaurant or a cafe, not a Burger King, but others, other ideas have been brought up as well. So those are just some of the ideas brought up. I wanted to share those with you because I just want your mind to get flowing on ideas because the person I'm going to call up next is Carrie Hawk, and she's going to lead you and the council in a discussion so that we can hear what your ideas are and what your thoughts are for the hotel. But before I do that, I want to show you just a couple of ideas. First, next slide, please. So this is an idea submitted by our councilman, Stuart Gilchrist. And what this is an old converted meatpacking plant. It's Gary Friedman's RH meatpacking building. And in it's mixed use, it has parking below, and then has rooftop amenities, but there's also residential in this building. But you can see that's a really beautiful building. We might as well think beautiful and think big and think about what things we can do with us for the future. And I think if we think really big and we think about shooting for the moon, we always come back down with that handful of stars, right? So that's where we need to think. As a community, we have to think that way. Okay, and then next slide. This is just some, this is actually online. If you take a look at our new general plan, which I will throw out to you right now as well, that after 4 years of process, this council and staff have delivered a general plan, and the community, we had a lot of input for the creation of a brand new general plan here in Marysville. That's going to take effect in November. It's going to be passed most likely in October. But online now, you'll see renderings of potential developments that can happen in the city. And when we were creating the general plan, one of the online opportunities that we put together was this area here, which is the old hotel area. So if you look at it, you'll see this is where the old hotel used to be. And then there's the idea of building, multifaceted buildings with rooftop amenities. They even threw green spaces on top of the rooftops. So we can also, not only do we need to just speak about what we're going to do on the hotel site itself, but we should think about the surrounding area. So we should think about developing, the whole block or the whole area around the hotel as well. So I'm saying to you, sky's the limit. Let's dream big and let's decide what we want to do from there. And I know that you have a lot of support because this city council in particular is very excited about making sure we do the right thing. And it's not just a matter of just bringing something and putting it on that site, but and giving it to whatever first developer comes along. So with that, I'm just going to introduce you to Carrie Hauck, who's going to come up and lead a conversation with you and the council regarding ideas. So thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Good evening. First of all, I want to remind you that there are public comment cards out here in the lobby, and Brenda's.
Karen,
Yes.
for just a minute, and Jim, by your leave, people might have a spontaneous reaction and not fill out a card. Maybe we could have a traveling microphone so someone raises their hand.
And we will come to you if you have a comment, but we're going to start off with people who filled out their comment cards. And so if you could tell us who the first person is.
Joe Muncy.
Carrie, 1 second.
You're out of order.
Oh, I'm sorry.
I did want the council to give their perspectives first,
Oh,
and then we can.
I'm sorry. I thought it was switched around on the agenda.
We hope to inspire comments.
Oh, okay.
This is no offense to you,
I'm
sir.
Go back to the.
Margie,
You're
So-
right.
Oh, okay. Okay, so we'll turn it over to them.
thank you.
Well, I could say that pretty much that Stewart had mixed use, but I'd also like to see some hotel and in that building and some, apartment studios, so we can get some sales tax on the hotels. And I'd also like to see the dining and entertainment piece, and with Dan said, a rooftop restaurant would be great. And of course, I grew up in dream big, right? I'd like to see an ice rink up there, also, on the rooftop for the children, and have more community events there for children, and the different clubs that we have in the city of Marysville, where they can come there and have an event center. So I think it will boost our economy through increased tourism and retail activity and job creation. Thank you.
Stuart.
Well, you've seen what I would like to see already. And even though that particular building was and is still an historic building in New York, most of it is all brand new. So all that was saved was the shell, an old brick 2-story building, which you could reproduce today. So you could build a modern building that has an old look. What goes on inside? Well, that's the cool part of what is called mixed use. It would obviously have some commercial space, and it would have residential space in it, and it would have parking, and it would have the open green space on it. So basically it has all of the things that are in everyone's wishes, and it could have like a dining room that wasn't of Jack in the Box or Burger King or whomever, but there are smaller versions of those. It's up to the developer and their partnerships, because we have seen strong developers that already have built-in partnerships with brand names, corporations, and in fact, that is who we chose for the B3 property. So we would be looking for those particular developers that have already done this somewhere else with complete success.
Thank you. Brett.
So I'm not necessarily going to contest any sort of new ideas that are coming forward. I appreciate any fresh ideas because they're going to be better than what was. And what was a building that did absolutely nothing for the city of Marysville for half a century. I appreciate the town hall aspect because it brings new ideas for us to consider, and we're about to commit to. I agree with Mayor. I'm not looking for any fast food chain to be put in that particular location. I'm not looking for another coffee place to be put in that location. But should the analytics say that that would be best for the city of Marysville, I would definitely be willing to hear that information at that time. Right now, this is about getting the public interest into what can be put there. So, I always say I can build anything, I just can't pick a color. I appreciate other people's ideas and what could potentially go there. Councilman Gilchrist has brought up a great idea. Marching supporting a similar idea. Let's just see what we can put in this small footprint that would affect the city of Marysville in the best possible way for the next 50 to 100 years. So let's make it happen. Thank you guys.
Mr. Vice Mayor.
I think one of the main things we'll have to keep in mind is what will a developer want to do. If we can partnership with them, we can direct them in the way we want. I would love to see a mixed use But I also think it would be nice if, excuse me, if we could get an event center, and I mean one that can, larger, as large as could be put on there with parking, but one where different events can be held of larger size, maybe a concert, maybe something, but able to be broke down to a place that can have weddings, class reunions, that kind of things, because we definitely lack having that in Marysville. I think that would be a good use for it, but I can tell you I am absolutely open to any ideas that might come up.
Thank you. Most important thing to do in any undertaking is to clearly define your objective. And Danny did a great job. A ribbon cutting is something we're all proud of. But that's important. What's your objective? It has to be very clear. Specificity as to the exact outcome that we'd be proud of, that's an undertaking that we want to hear from everybody about. We'll probably have another gathering like this someday as we move along. As with Bruce, I believe whatever happens will be within market-driven parameters. It won't be something we impose, although we will have influence because we own the property. So if it's something that makes us gag, it's not going to happen. But if it's something that's wonderful, it can. Again, we've had a clearly defined objective. By the way, just a quick couple of notes. I did not mind the Mount Marysville sign was up there. It was far better than the structure was there before. And that's unfortunate. I have some history with that hotel, and it was wonderful. I'd also like to recognize Mr. Chris Gill, who's in the gallery today. Chris, would you stand for a moment? Come on, big handsome guy. Look at that bill. He owns a gym, and it's a fancy gym. It's up there with the gold standard that I belonged to before, the Equinox chain. And he owns property on D Street, just across the alley. 2 significant properties there that he's currently developing. So there's real interest in the area by people who know what they're doing, have been successful, with a successful track record. He's not the only one, but the Delta building across 5th Street is underway. So there's things to think about when we come up with notions that we want to float and see if they stick to the wall. Beyond that, again, we are all here to listen. And again, we got a roving microphone and cards, and somehow we'll hear some ideas. Karen, please.
All right, thank you. So there are 3 ways to participate tonight. You can fill out a speaker card. There's also Brenda back here. She's gonna, if you would like a speaker card, she will bring one to you to fill out. You can also submit a question anonymously that we will read off to council. And then Ella, would you slide to the QR code? If you'd like to scan this QR code, we will review those tonight during the meeting, and if you have a question, we'll present it to council. So I would go ahead and bring it back to Mr. Munson.
Thank you, sir.
Bringing prosperity to downtown Marysville may require thinking out of the box. I have some suggestions that I offer as a topic of debate and conversation. I believe that the site is an ideal and desirable location for a restaurant and should contribute greatly to the local revenue. Preferred are choices that do not exist in the greater area or in the state to attract out-of-town diners. My objective is to open a dialogue, hopefully the city can do that, with restaurants and unique fast food restaurants that have plans to expand into California. Chains that are not struggling being ideal choices. Brands such as Bojangles of Southern Dining will be expanding to Los Angeles soon. Whataburger, Texas-based company, interested in expanding into California. A place called Canales, a healthy food fast franchise that currently is expanding into California. And Bonchon Korean fried chicken. I've never heard of it either. Some state or local chains that may be highly interested in the location could be BJ's Restaurant, began in Santa Cruz, California. The Cheesecake Factory, or its restaurants, chain restaurants such as North Italia. Mel's Diner, a well-known nostalgic Northern California chain. Chick-fil-A, a popular national brand. There are other examples to be sure, and an Apple store would be a retail suggestion. My last suggestion would be a parking garage generating revenue with secured parking. None of that will happen. None of this will appeal to investors if a massive homeless problem plaguing the city is not remedied. The government of Marysville is failing to address this urban blight. Let's have that debate as well. And I know the state ties your hands on a lot of things. So, anyways, that's my prepared statement. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right, does anybody want a comment card or from Brenda? Are you looking at? Okay. All right, thank you.
Come on, rub your microphone, just let it go. Just be spontaneous.
John Miller.
Thank you. My vision for Marysville lies in the future for everybody, and I believe this was the option of culture and art. Marysville deeply needs more culture and to benefit everybody, especially the younger generation. And I do know a developer who can acquire the property and develop it as an education institution. And I would like to see that be a fine arts, something related to like open arts and crafts or San Francisco Fine Arts College. I do own a house like a few blocks away. That's a historic house here in Marysville. I think we have enough 7-Elevens, and I think we have enough car washes, and I think we have enough commercial property that can be developed or is developed. So I would like to see us tend to go more towards education and culture. Thank you.
Our next speaker.
Frank Rosati.
Frank would like to now use the microphone. Go ahead.
Frank came up and apologized in advance in case he spoke too loudly. I said, give it up, Frank.
I'm not doing the microphone because everybody, my wife's already told me I'm talking too loud. Can you hear me back there? Raise your hand if you can hear me. Okay. Apparently they can hear me, so you can. Okay, this is in regards to who has the most employees, who has the most money, who has the most property in Marysville. Right Out Hospital. So now we're going to change the name on paper. The Marysville Hotel is now Right Out Hotel. Okay? They built a 3-story structure, 30 rooms with ground level parking. This is to house parents, patients, what have you. The child's in the hospital. They're getting a wreck in Yuba City. The parents have no place to go. They go to the Right Out Hospital Hotel. Okay? This is for traveling doctors and nurses. No place to go, to stay at the Right Out Hotel. People on call, stay there. People that work two-day shift, they go there to crash, whatever. Everybody is evacuated except you. You go to the hotel. Okay. Now to get to the hospital from the hotel, there's a little map floating around here. You get on a monorail. It's 20 feet in the air, and it goes from the hotel right out to the right out hospital. It's held by pillars, just like at Cal Expo. It goes down the east side of East Street, and it goes down to Sierra Central Credit Union, and it goes on the south side of 4th Street and ties into the second story of the hospital. The car holds 8 to 10 people. This car, the monorail car, goes back and forth. It's got a canopy on top, a roof, that has solar panels that operates the car. It's like a roof. It's all computerized. And if you look at the map, if whoever was in charge or made that project go up on B Street by the Dollar Tree can make this fly. You imagine coming over the East Street Bridge and you're headed to Sutter and Lincoln and you don't know nothing about Marysville and you're coming off the East Street Bridge and you see a monorail. People are going to say, Marysville's got a monorail? That's fantastic. That is unbelievable. That's cool. That's my presentation.
Thank you, Frank.
We do. Gary Rico?
What I was going to talk about is off topic, so I'm just going to come back and another meeting and discuss what we have said.
Oh, come on, Gary.
All right, do we have another speaker?
Yes. Joe Rivera?
Jill, I can't imagine you having an opinion.
Looks like you're losing out of the right? What I'm worried about is like, we got all these bells and whistles that are here for all these ideas, these concepts, which are great. But I think Bruce is the one who mentioned it, we need to keep it in the hands of the developer. And before we get that far, we're kind of putting the cart before the horse. Public Works, once we get this one to tear down Mount Marysville, and we find out what type of asbestos contaminants are there. What happens when we get down to ground level and it needs to go farther? Do you have money in place to get the rest of the contaminations out of the soil? So when you get your remedial report back from the state, is there funding that's allowed for that?
Joe, just as to that, we have plans and potential funding for every contingency.
For every contingency.
So we're talking about the future now, not the difficulty in
well, there's
taking the
not
first
any
step.
other things there, but how far will the funding allow you guys to get?
And again, Joe, with all respect to your friend, we're trying to focus on the future here, not the steps to clean the place up.
Okay.
We got that there's been a lot of
trying to
planning.
make out the point that, we're acting like a money bank account, that's all. I mean, the ideas are great. Ideas are great, but keep it in the hands of the developer. It should be our or our decision. Right? That's all I gotta say.
Thank you, Joe.
Thank you, Joe. Go ahead.
All right, another speaker?
Gil Mays?
Okay, my name is Yuba Mays. I really wasn't prepared, but I was jotting down notes while I'm listening here. I happen to be one of those people that was here when Marysville Hotel was open. it's operating. And because I remember the times of my parents, I do Saturday nights and weekends, and there's a hotel very popular. And historic buildings. I just have a small problem here in regards to, and I was talking to it out here, in regards to what happened to the reason it happened, they caught a fire, and it hasn't been completed, no investigation has been completed. So that means that's another issue, but I think it's something that we need, really resolve. So anyway, getting back to my idea, I think that dealing with mixed use coming in, because I look at people, this technology today, and things are moving fast. When people they visiting the city, the first thing they wanted to do is go someplace and set up their computer. And, getting ready for whatever, for the night, or whatever the festivities are for that evening. And for mixed use, having some area where they could, having to come in and being able to set up a coffee shop. I don't care where you go, everybody needs a coffee shop. I mean, coffee is nothing but coffee. Sit there on your computer and deal with, and drink coffee and prepare yourself. This is exactly what happens. I don't care what city you go to. And so, also, that type of area for the public, and that means having some type of connection with the community where they can come in and do the same thing. The children getting off from, coming, in the evenings out of school. If they had some place to just come and, to set up and hang out for a minute, but put it to the point where you have rules and regulations and make sure they abide by it. You have to raise them right. They'll be okay, So, indoor parking. We don't have enough space as it is. It looks like to me you should be going up. We got plenty of room up. Not out. For parking space, and in most places now, that's what they do, indoor parking. I don't know, maybe 5 stories. Let's get a tall building in this place. Looking like something, make it glass. You can see through it. Have it someplace, with some type of boom. When you walk in, whoa, there it is. You can see people walking around all this stuff. Resource center. When you first walk into a place, what do you want to find out? Where everything is, right? Inside, we're going to have the resource center. One that has totally, I don't know what happened to it here, but it doesn't, I don't even think it exists. But that should be inside the building. Also, artists in residence. Number 1, you got all of these murals around, that are painted on the buildings. These artists, they run into a problem with this other building that was on, E Street? Is that building still existing? I don't think it is. Where they had artists in residence. Just a little small space in there someplace for artists in residence, because people still love to deal with art. I don't care, you sit up, you have these classes for these students, and okay, so when they finish a lot of these projects, you don't have any work on them. Start creating something for these kids. Okay? Let me see, next year's confused. Oh, good idea for the rooftop. The rooftop, other than setting a helicopter up there, which that should be too. But in the meantime, and having that for, relaxation, special meetings, you got these executives flying around here, and that's what they come in on, right? Hey, you're talking about building and developing something that people need. Technology is where it is. And you have a lot of people now that, executives, young executives, hey, make them feel welcome when they come in, have it ready for them. I think that's it.
Thank you, Violet.
Thank you.
On to the board.
Okay, and the next speaker, you must wait.
Fred Brewer.
Good evening, my name's Fred, and I'd like to talk about the site, of course. And I've been up in Powell for 4 or 5 months, so I'm not current with everything. But the last time that came up, the city was going to haul all that dirt someplace in Nevada where they had a spot to put it. And I thought, well, okay, that's fine. And does it cost money? Of course it costs money. And I don't know, the city may not have that much money. I don't know what it would cost, but that would get that debris off the site. The other thing, excuse me, in the meantime, it's kind of a different situation, but in the meantime, until everybody figures out what actually to do with the site, you might just plant it to lawn so it looks nice, a park. And so people coming through town or people that are in town, they might have another park to go to. But anyway, that would be better than just dirt there. The other thing I was thinking is, as a use, could be a temporary use, is little houses, tiny houses. And they range in size from 100 to 600 feet. And so if you picked on 400-foot tiny houses and restricted it to cars or vehicles couldn't come into that area because maybe there would be not enough room for them. And if I'm there and I have a tiny house and I want my girlfriend to come in and she's got a big 4-wheel drive pickup, she can't come in with the pickup. They can't come in. So there wouldn't be enough room maybe that way. But for the tiny houses, they're maybe temporary until, a few years down the road, you figured out really what you might want to do with that property. And the thing is, other commercial property there, it would get the direct traffic that goes through town. But downtown Marysville could use more traffic. I think the businesses down there would like to have more business, not less business. So if you make this a super duper fancy place, then people might go there instead of downtown, which would be more appreciated. And that's it for now. Thank you.
Thank you. All right. Ellen, do we have another?
Rent house.
Thank you guys. Thank you. Can you hear me? I'm Randy House. I'm a Yuba County Supervisor, District 2, which covers Marysville, parts of Linda, the District 10 area, north of Marysville. Appreciate all the ideas. It sounds great, all the things that are getting proposed and all the thoughts that are getting dreamed up. I just would like to offer my 2 cents. I'd love to see something for our youth, maybe somewhere in the region where people would want to take a field trip to. So if we do multi-use facility, including like an area for transit buses or for commercial buses, things to unload and offload children. Maybe a science center, something to celebrate our gold-rich history, something to celebrate water, maybe celebrate our native heritage in the area. I think it just could be an anchor point to draw people into our county and into our city. To the point of somebody else that said that we don't want to draw people away from downtown. If we could do anything to bring people into downtown, it would be wonderful. So continue on with the dreams, and thank you all for showing up. Appreciate it.
Thank you, Ray.
All right. Do we have more speakers?
No, just contract.
Okay.
You still want to?
Did you still want to speak? Okay, all right.
If I may, we've got a couple of people who have downtown properties here, and I'm interested to hear what they might be thinking. Demona, you have a prospering business. It appears to be prospering anyway. It's a beautiful shop on Deep Street. And I know you think about these things. What are your thoughts on what should happen with the hotel property? Her business is called Diggs, and it's a great shop.
Well, thank you, Mr. Mayor, for putting me on the spot.
And Chris Gale, get ready.
I already told him, so, and just remember, paybacks. But my name is Demona Kirkpatrick, and I own Diggs, a vintage furniture and home decor store downtown Marysville, beautiful downtown Marysville. And I've lived in the area 45 years. I don't know what attracts me to Marysville. I don't know what keeps me down there, but it's the kind of thing that gets under your skin. So I really don't know what I want to see on that corner. I love the idea of the monorail, though. I mean, that's so good. And I'm not kidding. I just think that's so fun. But realistically speaking, I do know that there are certain ordinances and restrictions in place of what can and can't go in certain areas. And as long as it follows that, whatever the thing is, and through due diligence by the authorities we have in place, I'm just optimistic that we're going to get the right fit for that corner, and the right developer will come along, and it'll work out to benefit all of us, or at least most of us. Not everybody's ever happy. So I don't have a particular site, because to me, a lot of the more, if you will, ambitious ideas that I've heard and read about, the site seems a bit small for it. But see, I haven't walked it, I haven't measured it, I don't know what it is.
20,000 square feet.
And I don't know what you would do with 20,000 square feet, but it does seem that whatever goes there, I would hate to see something that's just squished into a lot that isn't appropriate for it. That's about all I have to say about it.
Chris, you might take the microphone.
Oh, man. Yes.
Chris is a market-driven developer. He knows what he's doing.
I'm not sure what the best use for the site is. It is a small site. It's less than half an acre. It's a great location. There's a ton of traffic there. I think I agree. There's a lot of momentum right now. There's a lot of growth and a lot of interest in Marysville. So I think the right developer will come along. But a lot of really good ideas today. But I'm really not sure. Could a parking structure be the best use? I know parking's an issue, but I know parking structures don't pencil out. So, yeah, I'm with everybody else. I'm kind of just wondering what the best use is.
Mr. Mayor, we have another speaker, Scheduled Events.
Hello, everybody. I'm Shanice. I own a business on Beach Street, and maybe all of my ideas is it's actually inspiring me. What I thought, having a business here for 9 years, what I see is so much potential in what we already kind of have going on downtown. I see so many buildings, especially after COVID, a lot of beautiful space that's either not developed or currently being developed. For instance, the one that comes to mind avidly in my mind as being also an event coordinator is the 420 building that's right across the street from the site. That building is phenomenal. It's huge. I hear people talking about, having event space. We have all the space, but again, I know it's not sexy, but the parking situation. I could see something going in all of these different spaces. We have the other space that's right, I don't know what the building is, but they're developing it right now, looking into apartment complexes. You have all this wonderful development, but I see the issue as being the parking. I think, oh, a developer could come in and utilize what we already have, because I'm kind of about that. I love what we have in this town already. Beautiful spaces that can be developed, but I see, oh, someone would come in and see that and be, well, it would be great to develop if there was parking. I can bring this, but there's nowhere to park. So maybe mixed use for that space, but definitely some sort of parking. Having my business on Beach Street, the main attraction, one of the main attractions is all of our wonderful festivals and parades. It's one of the joys of being on Beach Street. But again, you know, when that time comes, it's like it's turning red. Like, okay, what are we going to do for parking? So that's thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. And we have Jody Segaro.
That's a long time. But I know the charm of Marysville is what keeps us. And the love of the people and just the feeling of this town. So I love what this young lady had to say, and Mr. Stewart, is it? My heart just rejoiced when you both spoke about that. And I wonder if parking could be underground. But the ideas, both of you, phenomenal. The charm of this town can be like old Nevada City, or, you know, that a lot of people say that you could bring this town to fruition. You know, if you do the right things, get the right developers. And my thought, my dream about the old historic hotel is something like at Madonna Inn, how they have these little rooms of, they can feature the gold fields, the Bacchae, for all the history, all the charm, all the richness. And so good luck. You got my vote.
All right, and Ellen, do you have any more speakers?
I do not.
We do have comments that have come in. Would you like me to read those to you? Okay. I think this one was directed toward Mr. Flores or Mr. Chaplain. What is the defined demographic? Does any research exist to identify the city's needs?
Oh, come on, Dan, that's your ball.
Can you say that design demographics? Was that what you asked? That's a little above my
What is
pay
the
grade.
defined demographic?
Defined, okay, thank you, yeah. So, I mean, we know the demographics of Marysville, right? We have a population of 12,800, we have a median income of about $60,000. You know, we have an education level, mostly just above high school. And so we know what our market is here. We're at 3.6 square miles. And I think the question is going to be, how are we going to attract people? And I've heard this mentioned a few times tonight, from out of town to visit, and also something that we can be proud of as a town to show off. So those are the types of things that we want to take a look at. But as far as demographics, you know, those are the demographics we have. Now they're a little different when you take a 30-mile surrounding radius. Then we have 200,000 people when you count basically Yuba and Sutter counties together. And then our household income level is around 70,000. So it increases a little bit, which allow for more traction. I heard about the restaurant suggestions and those types of things. A lot of the larger franchises and those types of businesses are looking directly at that demographic. They want to know what the income level is, and they also are looking at what our education level is. And then they back into whatever else we have, including the number of rooftops that we have. So luckily we're able to incorporate the MSA, which is, again, Yuba-Sutter area, into those statistics. But it's something that we would be out there really pushing as we speak to different developers, as we're sharing the site itself. And that's something that our broker that we've utilized in the past is really good at, and was able to bring in, or help us bring in the developer for the Hyatt Hotel and the project that we're doing over on B Street.
May I add to that?
Yes.
We also need to provide housing. We need to we need to provide a certain kind of housing in the downtown area that will attract those executives and those people that we need in the community that have to live in Rockland. So we need to have a small market, and that raises the economical prosperity as well by having those homes. And they're very specific. They want modern lofts. They don't want yards. They want urban. They want quick.
All right. We had 3 comments come in through the QR code that we posted earlier, so I wanted to read the first one to you. I would love to see the hotel site be a mixed-use property, commercial on the bottom, perhaps a parking level where that's basement or between commercial and residential, and market rate residential on top, no more than 5 stories in height. The second comment, restore the historic building to represent the historic heritage. Offer rooms like the Madonna Inn and Nevada City style. Restaurants, ballrooms, bar, showcasing all of the different historic gifts that we've had throughout our town. And the third comment, my only question I have is that, does the city plan on protecting this investment from the continued deterioration from homelessness? An actual plan, not just words, strategic, sought-out plan with consequences. So those are the comments that came in through the QR code, and there was one. Do you have any anonymous questions? Okay. There was one other, very similar to the last question, but has any research been done comparing us to other similar cities?
So the answer to that is yes, and it's continuing to be done right now. We're working on an economic development plan with the support of the Yuba-Sutter Agency and also the Greater Sacramento Economic Council. And we expect the full results of that report hopefully within the next month or so, and then we'll have more information on it. But we do know basically the demographics itself. We've done a lot of research for other developers that have come to town, so that's why I was able to state those statistics earlier.
All right, before we wrap, is there anybody else, wrap up the public comments, would you like to speak?
Hi, my name is Marilyn Russell. I'm just going to speak from my heart. Marysville is my love. And I appreciate all of you on the city council that are working so hard to make it a great town again. And I'm sitting here thinking of the Marysville Hotel, the Palm Drugstore, my development father-in-law, and the soda bar, and the last big New Year's Eve party that I went to in the ballroom. You know, we can make it if we make it look right on that picture. Like the Holbrook and the National Hotel. Bring people in. We don't need bottom. And we need more stores like these. Thank you for what you're doing.
Last chance, anybody else like to comment?
Oh, it's not last chance.
All right, we'll take off and it's going to be.
Okay, so you know what my passion is. All the hidden treasures here in Marysville. And there's a lot of hidden treasures. And on my tour, I share it all. But there's no reason why we can't build a new hidden treasure here in Marysville. East Street needs something. People come through there. Thousands of people come through East Street. We need something there that's going to attract people to Marysville. So I say, concentrate on thinking about the visitors, about the people that are just walking, traveling through and never even think to stop by Marysville. We've got to have something here for them to come and see. We can put a little museum in there. We can put a little visitor center. We can do the top roof restaurant. We can do it all. But slowly think about how you approach this. Think of the visitors that come by and don't ever come in to visit us.
Back to what Dan said about thinking big, we have the Packard Library, we have the State Theater. They need to be preserved and included into the future of the historic town of Marysville. And there's several other buildings, but I know those 2 buildings are available. Thank you.
Thank you.
Oh, you wanted to speak?
live switching here, live on Yuba-Sutter.live. Just one comment. I sat in probably a chair right over here about 30 years ago when I was reporting news for KUPA. And the council member that sits where Stewart lives, or sits rather, was a planner for Yuba County. And one of the things that he kept hammering away at when he had an opportunity was that Marysville needs to grow up. And you know, this is, we have several other properties that are vacant and could be vertical, much more so than 1 or 2 stories. And if you look at old pictures of Marysville, 3-story buildings were common all around the area. And it seems to me like that piece of property, the former parking lot, and if that were packaged with the Hart building, which is, I think, still for sale, could be turned into an attractive package that could support some vertical uses and would enable the developer and the community to sell the view. We have great views of the Sierras, of the Buttes, of what's up to the north and down to the south. And I think that we're missing a great opportunity in terms of not promoting the idea of going much more vertical. We've got 6-story buildings, you've got the hotel, the Hart building, and at one point the hotel, and there's no reason, except for the penciling out, why we couldn't see those kinds of buildings populate Marysville and bring more people to town, because we're hemmed in by newly improved levees. That's it for me, thank you.
If I may, Gary, just to kick off council reaction here. Viola, you said we can't go out, we've got to go up. Absolutely. The city owns this property, and the city also owns the Packard Library now, and we're looking to do something there. The city is also involved with the Chinese community in reinvigorating, bringing back more life in the history of Chinatown. There's a great deal of work going on there. So ultimately, as with the B Street property, where we attracted a developer and beautiful properties that can go in there, we have to sell the entire story. And the story is, look what's going on here. Chinatown's coming up, and it's a significant historical location. Packard Library, other things we're doing in the city. And in the end, it's going to be who wants to invest money with a target rate of return. And that's going to determine what happens. But we are, since we're the owners of the property, and we have an interest in everything else going on, we've got an entire package we're trying to sell, and this just happens to be one of the features in that package. And parking was mentioned. There's 2 parking lots immediately south of the hotel. One is owned by the owner of one of the stores on D Street across the alley there, and the other is owned by the Hart building. It may be, in fact, I've discussed this informally with members of city management, and something I may want to propose formally, and that would be to acquire that parking lot. I think having a city-owned parking lot immediately adjacent to that property would make the property more attractive. I think it would be of value to the downtown area in general, and people are talking about parking. There is a small response to that. But overall, again, these ideas, in fact, I've heard a few I've never heard before. And frankly, I do like the monorail. And we have someone here, Mr. Dan Flores, is on the board of directors of Southern Health. He knows a lot about healthcare and financing and what can be done. And he has connections, obviously, in that field. We have a terrific management, city management, and we have a proven resource in Ed Nelson, the real estate professional who's assisting us in this undertaking. So we're loaded. The property isn't cleared off yet, but this is the time, and I think we should do this again after we get the property cleared. This is the time, and we should do this again to discuss what are the real possibilities. And by that time, we may have some input from Ed Nelson on what the market is telling them. And Dan and Jim are expert in receiving that information, categorizing it, collating it, and sharing it with council. I hope I didn't take too much time. Does anybody else have a comment or response? Mr. Fussman.
I just want to thank everybody for coming. There's some ideas here that I had not thought of or heard of before. So I think that we need to do it again when we get a chance to even hear more input. I do think it would be good to hear from Ed, to bring him in at a time when we do this to get what he sees the market is looking for. But yeah, I think there's some great ideas all through, and just thank everybody for showing up.
To the chair.
Yes.
Yes, thank you guys all for coming. You guys it's great information, feedback. Make sure you download that QR code. And if you're on social media, share, so we get some feedback. Because it's really important. You live in this community. You are this community. So please be involved. Thank you.
Sir.
So I just want to say again, reiterate what the two councilmembers said. It's nice to see, 50 plus people show up and give us ideas, because we need other people's ideas. It's not totally up to us. We take what constituents mention and we put it to the test, and we see what works best for the city of Marysville. So thank you for the time, for the ideas. Some are cool, some are great. So thank you for that. Appreciate you guys coming.
Stuart, anything?
Oh, thank you all for coming.
Mr. City Manager.
Okay, I think I'm supposed to wrap up here. I do just have some brief comments. So, I don't have any specific ideas that haven't been shared tonight, beyond what's been shared tonight. My job is typically to figure out how to make it happen. But I am open to any idea that would support the city's mission, which is to provide a good place for people to work, live, and play, and for the community to thrive. Downtown, I heard needs traffic. They do need traffic. The downtown businesses need foot traffic, meaning people come into their stores. That is different than traffic driving through the city. So I would like everybody to keep that in mind. Our large employers need housing. They've told us that. We've researched that. So housing in the downtown area, based on some conversation that one of you had about, a couple of you had about doing that, is something we know we need. Residents want services, and they want services for youth. They want cultural amenities. They want entertainment. They want dining. They want the necessities to continue with their lives and have a good community to live in and a safe downtown area. I think this building and this site has been something that has been an albatross for the city for a period of time. And I think it used to be one of the gems of the city. And when we start thinking about what that site is going to be and other sites that we have discussed, what is going to provide the best to allow our community to prosper. And so I truly appreciate all the comments here. I think that gives us a very good point to start from, and my staff and I are now going to start crunching through all that and try and come up with ideas on what we can make work with our broker to see what might be possible. And then, as the council said, sounds like council wants us to bring it back to them again. This meeting has given us enough to apply for the grant, but as stated, this is a fairly long process, and the first step is to deal with the environmental, and I think we have that fairly well figured out as long as we can successfully apply for the grant and get the funds. After the EPA grant or whatever funding opportunity allows us to clean the site, we'll have further conversations on what's going to go there. The beauty of it is we have a little time between now and when we clean it up to think about this. So I appreciate everybody's time. We're open to conversation beyond this through either our website or phone calls. Dan, our community development director, has an open door. If there are constituents, business owners, developers that have ideas, by all means reach out to us beyond this meeting. We're very happy to talk to you. I think the mayor is going to conclude the meeting. Probably lots of pizza outside still, so don't forget about the pizza. And if you have not signed in, please do so. Thank you.
Now, is there anybody out there who just is burning to say something? We've got a microphone right here, we're happy to share.
Mr. Mayor, I see a Rosalini in the room. Nothing?
I don't think so. Okay, well, here is to a ribbon cutting. Here's to a ribbon cutting at a project that we're all very proud of. That's our objective for downtown.
And you have been watching the live presentation of the Marysville Hotel Town. We'll get it right. It is the Hotel Marysville Site Town Hall, live from the City Hall in Marysville. I'm Ted Langdell, and we've been watching what's been happening here, and we will have a replay coming up on Monday. We're going to add some new content to showcase some of what you would see. And again, we will have this replay at 7 o'clock on Tuesday, September 30th. And our live stream tonight has been presented by Comfort Keepers of Yuba-Sutter and Nevada counties, and we appreciate their continuing support for many of the projects that we are trying to bring you. And we will be back in just one moment, but I want to let you hear a little bit from our underwriter, Neil Goforth, who is on a cruise and is probably watching this live in Nova Scotia.
Hi, I'm Neil Goforth of Comfort Keepers of Yuba-Sutter and Nevada counties. Caring for elders, or even yourself, has challenges. Comfort Keepers of Yuba-Sutter and Nevada counties can help you address today's issues and plan for tomorrow with in-home and specialized care for you or your family members. Call us at 530-749-8800. Comfort Keepers of Yuba-Sutter and Nevada counties.
And again, you have been watching the live presentation of the Hotel Marysville Town Hall. What to do with the site that is at 5th and E Streets in Marysville and requires a good bit of cleanup. And as you can see, we had a fairly decent crowd tonight. And we had a lot of news media here, as you can see. Fox 40 is interviewing some of the people who spoke. There are other news media trying to get some reports out before their 6 o'clock news ends. And we will have a augmented version again coming up on Tuesday because there are no live government meetings that we will be bringing you this Tuesday the 30th. So we want you to be able to take a look at our augmented version, which again is presented by Comfort Keepers of Yuba-Sutter and Nevada counties. There are other live streams coming up in October, and you can take a look and see what we're doing coming up. If you just scroll down below the video or above the video, there's a bunch of text information. And we'd like to thank all the people who were watching on Facebook and YouTube. We've got people like Nadine Anderson, Linda Parmeter Alexander, Ryan Hunter, Brandon Hogan, Margie Markle, Jamie Bebout, Raman Bihala, and several people popped in and out. Jonathan Stone, Carissa Williams Jacobson, Roxanne Bryan, Deborah Cosper Ferreira, and Luz Hernandez, Andrea Ramirez, and Sean Davis, and looks like Mamie Bridges. So we thank you for watching. You've been watching a live presentation of Yuba-Sutter.live. I'm Ted Langdell.
Yuba-Sutter done alive. It's the truth that comes through.